financials and political capitals of the world. To the heart of innovation, this is Opportunities to Consider with your host, author, speaker, and corporate strategist, Hunter Gaylor.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Market Hunters. I am coming to you live today. We are going to be joined by our special guest again, the CEO of PETV, John Lai. We're going to bring him right into the conversation and the great new updates coming in with the company. John, good to see you today.
Good seeing you, Hunter.
So, John, let's just hit the ground running today with some of the news. Press release comes out May 17th. Trina Laley joins PETV as the Northeast Business Development Manager. So obviously you're starting to expand. I know in our last conversations, we were talking about some people that were appointed to the board and some of the advisors and things like that. So not only are you growing, but you're adding now the sales reps that we talked about. So we're really seeing a beautiful story come out with all the studies and everything like that. So I'm going to give you the floor, John, and just kind of give us an update where you're at as we're in Q2 and we're moving through the summer months with the development here.
Yes, in previous interviews, we talked about adding to the business development staff for different regions of the United States. So Trina brings us the Northeast United States. She's got 22 or 23 years experience, 20 years with Merck Animal Health, and the last 3 with Patterson Veterinary Distribution. They're one of the largest distributors like MWI.
Right.
So it was very good to get her in because she has great relationships with multiple large vet groups in the Northeast United States. We also added Mary Grace out of Kentucky. She was, once again, about 22, 23 years experience in the veterinary product sales space. I think her last company was Anatech, but she's also been with large firms for the last 20 some years. So she knows, once again, a big Rolodex of veterinary doctors that she's dealt with and trusts. And all these people, their only job is to work with the territorial and in-house salespeople of MWI. We're there to support and provide educational information, be there to have our veterinary team answer questions, vet to vet, and veterinary doctors. The good thing about them is they don't just look at what we're saying you should use the product for. They actually think of new ways of using the product to help us, and it gives us really good data. And we're seeing different applications for the spring particle work extremely well in certain combo situations. And just like human doctors, they're able to use off-label use. Veterinary doctors can do that too, and they're coming to us and saying, John, have you thought about using this in this way? And we said, of course. Now, since you're doing so well, we'll probably put a study to support it from an education standpoint, marketing standpoint, because keep in mind, our particles are declared as a veterinary medical device. We don't have to do anything for the FDA. Everything we do is specifically to help marketing and educate the veterinary doctors out there to drive adoption of the product.
Well, when you created the relationship with MWI, obviously they're the largest. And so the support mechanism that PETV is relying on is just to support that growth, because trying to do it internally is just, it's too much of a lift. But having these strategic specialized, I mean, we're even reading here that, from Patterson Veterinarian Supply in upstate New York, leadership program, 22 years at Merck Animal Health in the Northeast, 15 years as an equine specialist in the Northeast. So not only are they going to, it seems to me, not only are they going to be able to aid and assist MWI, but also continue in that veterinarian educational support for MWI as well.
Yeah, that's why we've been hiring these experienced people with 20 some years, because in this business, it's all relationship based that they've built up over the years. for me to try to build a sales team to be able to do, it would cost, and I've seen other companies, I won't name them, spend 200 and some thousand and build up a sales team of 200 salespeople. And it'll take them 2.5 years, 3 years just to start getting in the doors and getting them to use the product. We have people here that have worked with these veterinary clinics for 20 plus years, and now they're going in and saying, hey, look at this product. You've been buying from me for 20 some years. You got to try this product. It's a much easier sell that way. And so the if you look at most medical technology companies out there, it's their sales and distribution is the weakest part, but it's also the most expensive to roll out. We were able to circumvent a lot of that because of the MWI relationship, and recently announced our new director. His name is Spencer Brightup. He was multiple years at MWI, led the sales and supply chain side. So he was responsible for the 5 billion in sales. It was under his watch. He retired, and it took a little work. And his wife finally said to him, "You can go serve on the Pet Vivo board long as John doesn't overwork you." I
Yeah,
said,
well, there you go. There you go.
but what he brings is very good knowledge about what the distributor wants from the company to help their salespeople sell. He has a lot of contacts within this space, and he's also able to give my board of directors an outside where a product is moving through the MW supply lines and how the product is going relative to past product launches that are disruptive. And I feel we're doing quite well because you're going to have ups and downs early on in terms of the sales. But the key metrics that you need to focus on, in my opinion, is new veterinary clinic acquisitions, because you lead to very long lifetime values, because a high percentage of the vets that use our product stay with using our product and change the way they practice medicine.
Well, and I think that goes back to the testament of bringing these people that have been with MWI for so long, looking at all of the different potential opportunities in the marketplace they could go to. But the fact that they're choosing Pet Vivo, I think, speaks testaments and volume, for the company itself. Obviously, we're seeing steady growth. We're seeing, obviously, what you've been able to do in the fundraising efforts, raising it at market, which is incredible, especially given some of the tumultuous times in the market. So I think that speaks to your experience on Wall Street. I just want to take a couple of minutes and talk a little bit about some of the studies that we should be seeing come out, because I know we've been talking about it. We saw kind of the dog study. What about the cats? What's happening kind of in the feline aspect of things? What should we be looking at over the next several weeks or months of new studies and new information coming out? And the reason I asked that question, John, for our audience is as the audience is getting more and more educated on this, and they're starting to talk to their vets, and their veterinarians are starting to look at the product as well, we're kind of seeing a culmination of meeting in the middle here. So especially when they could say, look at these studies and look at these people that have 20-year track records, that have been with these top veterinarian schools and things like that. So talk to me a little bit about what we can be expecting from Pet Vivo, in the next couple of months.
Sure. We have 6 studies that I would anticipate being completed by year end. Now, completion and getting published are 2 different stories, because it takes a lot longer to go through the review process. But the good thing is, once you complete a study, generally an abstract gets presented at a certain conference. So with that abstract, we're able to market to the veterinary doctors saying, this is what we've seen. Keep in mind, this isn't the final published piece, but it's pretty close when you have an abstract. So we feel those are very strong catalysts for the salespeople at MWI to use as materials to call on the small animal vets. I think the majority of the studies are going to be on dogs, and one very, I say, significant study for cats. The cat study will be finished, I believe, at the end of July, and we'll be presenting at one of the top feline conferences in October. But we'll get an abstract, I think, sometime, hopefully at the end of July, early August. And I think we're going to be bringing the product out around August, anyways, because we're getting so many vets using the spring for cats already. We might as well bring it out. And the cats that have been injected have gotten really good results. And there's really good education out there now being spent by another company on how to diagnose osteoarthritis. I got a technical problem here. Hang on, give me 1 second.
That's
I got to
okay.
sign back and edit all
That's okay.
that out. Okay. So we have a competitor that has been spending a lot of money on educating cat owners on how to diagnose and identify potential osteoarthritis. And then they would bring it to their vets and say, this is my checklist. I'm seeing what happens when the cat comes off the table, jumps off the bed. This is not what it used to do, because cats have an interesting personality and demeanor. When they start feeling pain, they hide it.
Right.
They just shut down. They're not as active, but you'll see it if you're trained to look for it. And there's a lot of videos and educational material out there focused on the consumer. So I think that's going to help us drive the spring feline product, because our product on a single injection lasts at least a year. And Zoetis Solentia is their product.
Right.
It's a monoclonal antibody, and it does very well in masking the pain. But it's masking the pain, and you got to have monthly injections. So there's a lot of compliance issue with the consumer, and also the cost is pretty high. I think it's like $150 a month.
Oh, wow.
For the life of the animal.
But on that note, John, is important to note, is it covered under pet insurance?
I'm not sure theirs is. Ours is. Spring is covered because it's classified as a medical device.
Got it.
Yeah.
And because it's a medical device, I always like asking this question, kind of future looking. This started out, and I just want to remind people when they go and look at Pet Vivo, this started out as a product for humans, and it was approved, which gave the fast track to do what you're doing now.
Well, we weren't approved. We were declared as a human medical device.
Okay, declared.
So to get the approval, it's not that difficult. You can apply it for a 510K or a PMA. Yeah. So once you have the device designation, your whole world is a lot easier. You don't have to do phase 3, which is the most expensive and time consuming. Phase 3s could be 300 million,
Wow.
Just to get through, and 5-6 years. So because we're a device, certain human applications may clear in 9 months.
Wow.
Under 510K. Yeah. So we will start looking at how to monetize some of the human assets as we go forward. But obviously right now the company is purely focused on getting spring out into the market for the smaller animals and the equine, and getting traction there and having these studies come out, because these studies help validate for the human side.
Well, no, I think that's very important. As dogs run, so do humans, and we exercise, and we have the same, osteoarthritis is a big thing amongst, humans as well. And having this and looking forward to it and being able to follow the studies on how it's, working with literally members of our family, our dogs and our cats now, and the rise of the pet ownership, having that same level of ability within humans obviously is great, but focusing on the pet market and what you're doing, all of those steps with hiring these people and MWI, it just points to tremendous growth opportunity for the company and acquiring a large amount of market share. And I do want to make a competitive note, John, real quick, and get your opinion on this. We had talked about this last time. The spring product versus really the only other competitor in the marketplace, which isn't a Russian product. It's a synthetic, right? So it's not really, good for your pets.
So we get classified in, because it's an intra-articular injection. Okay. There's competitive products out there that are considered hydrogels, which are synthetic lubricants for the joint. Because ours, once it's injected, because it's wet and lubricious, and it forms the scaffolding, it functions as a lubricant. I don't So a lot of vets say we're a hydrogel. I say we're an extracellular matrix, but I can't change the thought
Right,
process of the
right.
veterinary doctors. So these synthetics, uh, they've been around for 10, 12 years, okay? And some of the word out there is that when they inject the lubricant in there, the lubricants go to the outer synovium wall and it builds up over time. And that, in essence, stiffens the joints. Now, I don't know if there's scientific data published on that, but there are certain organizations that have prohibited the use, like HISA, the Horse Integrity Safety
Mm,
Authority, that governs thoroughbred racehorses. If that synthetic lubricant or polyacrylamide is used in a horse, there's a 6 month prohibition from the horse running. And our product is a naturally derived product, and it doesn't have the side effect functions or anything like that. So they have us sitting at the standard 2 week prohibition. Basically, anytime you inject anything into a racehorse, it's a standard 2 weeks. It just doesn't matter. But they came out with the ruling that ours is the standard 2 weeks, while the hydrogels, or not the hydrogels, the synthetic lubricants are 6 month prohibition. And the sales of the two top products in that space, I think, represent about 34 million a year.
yeah, that's a massive market. Massive market.
Hmm.
So that's impressive stuff. Well, John, I always appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. A lot of amazing innovations that are happening. I just want to remind people, Pet Vivo Holdings, make sure you go to their website, petvivo.com, follow their stock symbol, PETV. You'll get all the information there. This will be live across YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Roku, iHeartRadio, you name it. It'll be everywhere. All the description and the links to some of the press releases will be in the bio as well. So make sure you click those links. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this video with your colleagues as well. So, John, thank you again so much for joining.
Thank you,
Take
Hunter.
care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was another episode of Markets Hunter. I just wanted to thank everyone for tuning in and for joining us. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe across all of our platforms and videos. And we look forward to seeing you next time right here on the Markets Hunter Show.